Hi, this is Hank reporting from Kyiv, and this is my update on Russian-Ukrainian war. Let's see what happened around Ukraine in the last 24 hours. Result of attack on Feodosia. Journalist killed in Russian prison. Is the Patriot okay or not? Situation in Kursk region. Disappointments. Ukraine raises taxes. Summary of Russian losses in Ukraine. Today the 5th day since the destruction of the largest oil terminal in Feodosia in Crimea. In the video you can see how another tank explodes. This morning some results have already appeared, and we see how the loss of this facility directly affects Russian troops in the south of Ukraine. This photo was taken by an agent of the Atish group, a Ukrainian partisans at the temporarily occupied territories. The guy who takes this photo is risking his life. As a person with the call sign Emmetham, I believe he's a Crimean Tatar native, writes, after the destruction of the oil depot in Feodosia, the Russians found themselves in logistical hell. They are observing that fuel trucks with Z signs are now driving throughout Crimea as mobile filling stations, which are constantly moving every 12 hours so that we cannot destroy them. It is reported that the destruction of this oil depot has led to a serious fuel shortage. And this story is classic. When you deprive the enemy of fuel, he can neither move equipment nor shoot, because tanks do not work at all without diesel fuel. So Ukraine's weak point is the power plants which Russia attacked and created big trouble, and Russia's weak point is the fuel system which give them their main source of income from the sale of oil on the international markets and literally feeds the military machine. In our case, dozens of countries help us restore and maintain our energy system, and in Russia's case, they are practically alone. It doesn't seem that Iran or North Korea or even China are worried about how much fuel Putin has left. By the way, isn't this a good winning strategy, just depriving the Russians of all fuel? Yesterday, very sad news appeared that the Ukrainian journalist Viktoria Roshina died in a Russian prison. Representatives of our coordination headquarters, which deals with prisoner exchanges, reported that she was on the prisoner exchange list and was supposed to return home soon. It was said that, quote, according to official information from the Russian authorities, this happened during the transfer from Taganrog in the south to Moscow. She was kept in a solitary cell for about 4 months. This brave girl was arrested in the temporarily occupied territory twice in the summer of 2023. From the very beginning, she wrote articles about this war, and in 2022, the International Women's Media Fund, IWMF, awarded her the Courage in Journalism Award. I'm so sorry that this happened. We do not know the circumstances, and the Russians will most likely want to hide them. Those of my friends who were captured say that death in Russian prison is a common situation. They torture people, that's a fact. What can we say if the most famous Russian oppositionist, Navalny, died in a Russian prison? Even the terrorist Girkin, who led to the start of the war in 2014, is now in Russian prison. They recently arrested the famous Z blogger, and he is also in their prison. I won't call his name to not give him any more publicity. As you can see, they don't care who to capture, their own or others. It's just a question of profit for Putin's system. They also have a saying, hit your own so that the others will be scared. Russian prison is one of the worst places on earth. I was once arrested by the Russian FSB and spent some time under interrogation, but I was lucky to get out alive. Too bad Viktoria wasn't lucky. Rest in peace, brave girl. Yesterday I showed a video of the Russian attack on the Patriot air defense system in the southeast of Ukraine and suggested that it might not have been completely destroyed but rather damaged. It's hard to tell from the video. Today a comment from the Ukrainian Air Force Command appeared. According to the acting head of the communications department, Yuri Ignat, the Russians did damage several units of equipment but did not destroy the entire system, and the Patriot unit continues to carry out combat missions. And then on October 9, the system was engaged in an anti-aircraft battle against Russian ballistic missiles, some of which were intercepted. That's all we know. I saved this video on my phone. I apologize for the terrible quality. It doesn't exist in better form because it was just one of 10 screens on the webcam that broadcasted the attack on Kyiv in real time. Here you see how the very first Patriot system, which was given to Ukraine, fights off those invincible Russian Kindzhals at 10 million apiece, which have no analogs in the world. Putin then decided to check how good Patriot really is and how strong Kindzhals are. It was damn scary, I must admit. Just imagine how it sounds in the middle of the night. A real Star Wars battle going on. I have a riddle for you, which I really like to remember. How many Patriot systems have Supersonic Kindzhals destroyed? if their developers were arrested afterwards. So there is a hope that the Patriot near Dnipro will still work. The situation in Kursk region today is very contradictory. I will not rush to conclusions and especially pretend that I'm smarter than everyone else. General Syrskyi reported that the Russians had to transfer 50,000 soldiers there, which gave some relief to the other parts of the front. This is probably going according to our primary plan. What is not going according to plan is the interaction of our soldiers in that area. Many are now writing that the situation there has become more complicated with losses and gains from both sides. For example, that Russians were able to get one Bradley unit and attack us with it with a small number of rounds that were there. The Russians do not have such 25mm rounds. As a result, we had to destroy this Bradley. On the map, this situation has already been called the head of the dragon, and everyone is waiting for it to close its mouth. Let's wait and see. Disappointment. A few days ago, I told you about how we attacked the 67th arsenal of the Russian army in the Bryansk region, and there was massive smoke and secondary detonation. There was hope for a big bada boom, but today satellite images and data from the journal stuff appeared. As a result of the attack, only 2 hangars were destroyed, and we can say that the arsenal survived. And I think we should repeat it. These are the results of the attack on the military airfield in Adygea in the south of Russia. I repeat this video. As a result of the attack, we destroyed 4 missiles and 56 bombs and damaged the runway, which means that we hit the ammunition depot, and the planes remained intact. It is unknown how much damage the runway suffered. Thus, we have the results of 3 news items including Patriot, which are much more modest than it seemed at first glance, but in any case, a hit is a hit. That's why I always try to react to such things with a restraint, and I find it strange when everyone on the internet immediately writes in the capital letters, "This will change everything." The louder the hype, the less I believe it. Perhaps one of the loudest and most unpopular events of this month will be the tax increase in Ukraine. New York Times writes that in this way we can count on additional $12 billion to finance the army, and as far as I know, we pay salaries to the military from our taxes, not from the money that partners allocate as part of a grant support. I believe this is an important political moment. Europe and the States do not pay salaries to the Ukrainian army, they only help support the social sphere and infrastructure, literally let the country function, and we do the rest ourselves. Well, raising taxes is always unpleasant. Who would like to pay more? Probably no one, but there is a war, I understand perfectly well, also I do not like it either. If I choose between paying more taxes now or paying much more taxes later to Russia, if Russia comes here, then damn it, take all my money. I tried to count how much this war has already cost me, but I lost count. I'll do it after the war. At the moment, I have an open case about 2 destroyed apartments in Mariupol, but I cannot get any money for it in order to, for example, buy a house in here or take out a loan. That is, I simply no longer have a physical home and I have nowhere to return to, and at the same time, no one can compensate me for this loss. If I was lucky to live in Kyiv at the time of the invasion start and have a remote job, then many people were not lucky, especially those who are already retired and have no savings or lost them due to the invasion. That these are exactly the people we finance from our taxes and partly from money allocated by our partners. So I understand the importance of this step. Okay, now we have a tense situation with taxes and it's not yet clear how much everything will change. Yes, of course, prices have increased since the beginning of the war and the dollar exchange rate has changed from 25 to 41 hryvnia per dollar, which is a 60% raise. Now I can afford less food for the same money. The real challenge is to find good things in life right now. I'm making an effort to pay more attention to optimistic things and gratitude than to just suffer every day because of what is happening. Everything as Viktor Frankl taught. I'm grateful that I have rented housing and the opportunity to buy food, clothes and donate daily to support my army and those who need help right now. Ukraine has a wonderful volunteer background. I have lost most of my friends or loved ones for various reasons, but at the same time, the volunteer community now is people with whom I feel good to be around. Looking at these people, I believe that we have a future and that we will rebuild the cities. In this photo, there are numbers. These numbers represent people who have no future. Today we crossed the devil's number. According to the general staff, 666,340 occupiers went from Putin to Stalin, so to speak. Every time I think how many people could have dedicated themselves to creation, development of their country, raising their children instead of killing others. I believe that life will overcome death, and I thank everyone who helps us survive today. If you want to support this channel, all the links to Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, PayPal and others will be under this video. Thank you, take care, and I hope to see you tomorrow.